Hi, this is Stan Bush.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calvert.
This is John Payne.
This is Jack Hughes.
Hey everyone, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen.
Hey everybody, this is Prescott Niles.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevens.
Hello, I'm Kofi Baker.
Listening to Play That Rock and Roll.
This is not a test. This is Play That Rock and Roll. I'm your host, Joe K, and today is our 75th episode. My goodness, where has the time gone? Well, longtime listeners of this podcast might remember that our very first two episodes were about the history of the Steve Miller Band. And that's because they are one of my all-time favorite groups. I absolutely love their music, and I've seen them 7 times in concert, which is more than any other band I've seen live. So, for my 75th episode, I wanted to do something special. And I must say, I'm very appreciative that we were able to pull this off, as today I am presenting an interview with a 30-plus year member of the Steve Miller Band. He plays keyboards and sings backing vocals. He is the Hands of Soul, Joseph Wooten. Joseph joined the Steve Miller Band in 1993 and has toured with them ever since, but he had a career in show business long before that. He got his start in the music industry actually back in the early 70s while he was still a child. He had formed a band with his brothers, the Wootens, and they actually played some pretty high-profile gigs back then despite them all being quite young. They were eventually signed to a label in the early 80s, and they are still performing today. In fact, they are actually working on a new album right now. So we cover a lot of history in this interview. First, we talk about how Joseph and his brothers got the band started, some of the notable artists they worked with in their early days, and what happened when they got their record deal. We then discuss Joseph's time in the Steve Miller Band, including how he got the gig, what he does on stage, what it was like working alongside the legendary Sonny Charles on the Bingo and Let Your Hair Down albums, and he also shares his memories of his old bandmate Norton Buffalo, who sadly passed away in 2009. Finally, we talk about the book Joseph published in 2017, which is a collection of sayings, observations, and wisdom that he has come up with over the years, and we talk about how that has evolved into his mantra of I matter, you matter. He now posts short videos with a positive message on social media every day, opening each one by declaring, I matter, you matter. And he has even launched a non-profit organization called I Matter, You Matter, which has the goal of creating positive change through speaking to and working with young people of all ages, giving scholarships to deserving young people, and providing aid and support to the homeless and veterans. This is some real, tangible, good work that is born out of the positive messages he posts on social media every day. So I am very proud of this episode, and I must say I really appreciate Joseph stopping by to share his stories, music, and insight. And I really hope you enjoy this episode. If you want to see Joseph perform this summer, you can go to stevemillerband.com/tour and check for dates. If you didn't know, the Steve Miller Band is part of a massive stadium tour on a package deal along with Journey and Def Leppard, making this one of the biggest classic rock tours of the year. So if this tour comes to your town, I would definitely recommend checking it out, as that is going to be a evening full of a lot of great classic rock music. You can also check out thewootenbrothers.com/tour-1 to see where the Wooten Brothers are playing this summer. And be sure to keep an eye out for their new album. You can find Joseph on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as he shares his daily I Matter, You Matter video messages on all 3 platforms. Finally, please check out imatteryoumatter.com to learn more about Joseph's nonprofit organization and consider making a contribution, as I believe this is for a very good cause. And with that, it gives me great pride and joy to present my 75th episode, which is an interview with a lifetime member of the WOOTEN Brothers Band and the longtime keyboardist for the Steve Miller Band, the Hands of Soul, Joseph Wooten.
Hey, Joseph. And on the keyboards, Joseph Wooten.
So today is a special day. We are with the Hands of Soul, longtime member of the Steve Miller Band, and of course the Wooten Brothers Band, Joseph Wooten. Joseph, how are you doing today?
And I'm doing well.
You're looking well.
Well, thank you. You too. I see we're seeing the same barber, so
I got this hoodie I'm wearing at Summerfest in Milwaukee a couple of years ago. I saw you guys do a 2-night stand there. I've seen Steve Miller Band more than any other band. You guys are like my number one. And I'm always impressed at Summerfest how you bring out some of the hugest crowds I've ever seen there. You know, and you guys did a 2-night stand there a couple years ago, and both nights it was crazy packed. So I imagine.
Okay. So you were there when we did 2 nights.
That's right.
Yeah. Who was? I think it was. Was it supposed to be Hart? Was supposed to be there, I think.
Right. Yes.
And I believe one of them had COVID, so they asked us if we play a second night. We had a day off, so we elected to play a second night. It was fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun there.
Yes. Summerfest is special. I've seen you guys play there probably like 4 or 5 times. It's always a great show. And I saw on social media just a little while ago that you marked your 31st year being in the Steve Miller Band.
Yeah.
So I had to look this up. You have, with the exception of Kenny, your old drummer Gordy, and of course Steve,
right?
You have been in that band longer than anyone who has been through that band, which is
You know what I really like is like Steve just marked. I think the Joker just turned 50.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
The song The Joker just turned 50. So he's been in show business probably 60 years or something, if not more. And I'm pretty proud to know that I've been there for half of it.
Yes. Right.
And, more than half of it, which is kind of cool.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an awesome legacy to be a part of. And, I have so many questions, about your time with that band. But let's go back to the very beginnings of it. You joined in 1993. Of course, I'm curious about how did that connection come together? What were you doing in the music industry before you got in the band, and how did you get the gig?
Okay, well, man, I've been in the music industry for most of my life. Started at 5 years old, taught by my oldest brother, Reggie. So when Reggie was 10 years old, he was teaching me how to play and teaching Victor how to play. Victor was 2, I was 5. My older 3 brothers, Rudy, Roy, and Reggie, were 8, 9, and 10. And they learned to play on their own. And it was Reggie that went, if I teach them to do this and that, we can have a band. And he was, at that time, Reggie was our babysitter, 10 years old. And he was, he took care of us really well. He was a great example. And my brothers were so good on their instruments. If we could be like him, then, whatever he asked us to do, we were willing to do it. He was that much of a good example. So one note at a time, he started showing us how to play. And the day that he showed us something, we had a concert in the front yard. There's some old 16 millimeter footage of Victor just sitting there strumming along. He's just, being a part of it. He's not playing notes yet, but he's in it. And, this was my first Reggie lesson. So he said, man, just do this. All you got to do is do this. I had a little toy piano. So I'm doing this, very unenthusiastically because, I'm not into it yet. And then he takes his ukulele, he goes, And immediately, right away, the first lesson, we're playing Midnight Hour by Wilson Pickett, one of my favorite songs. And I realized, I liked it because and I could tell, like, this note's not changing, but it's changing. You know what I mean? And right then my ears started working because I still like harmony. And, he would show you enough to get you inspired. Once you're inspired, you're self-motivated. Then he show you a little bit more, And off we went. And it was good instruction. I mean, that sounds kind of cute. The 10-year-old's teaching the 5-year-old and the 2-year-old, but he taught us well enough that just 3 years later, this was in Hawaii. My dad was stationed in Hawaii. And just 3 years later, after moving to California, just outside of Sacramento in Rancho Cordova, we opened for War.
Oh.
Victor was 5. He just learned to write his name. He signed an autograph. Just learned to write his name. He was in kindergarten. I was in the 3rd grade. And so Victor was 5. I was 8. Older 3 brothers were 11, 12, and 13. And this is when Slipping in the Darkness was the hit. I was slipping in the darkness. Yeah, there we were, opening for War at the Memorial Auditorium in Sacramento. And also the other one that people might be more familiar with, Why Can't We Be Friends? Listen. Why can't we be friends? 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 That was the hit, and there we were opening with these teachings from a kid who was barely a teenager by that time. By the time we opened for War, man, we were like veterans. We felt like it's 3 years later.
Right.
We've been playing for 3 years now. 2 years after that, we opened for Curtis Mayfield.
Oh man, another.
And that was back when darkness of night with the moon shining bright. Oh, super fly gonna make your fortune bye-bye. And if you lose, don't ask no questions why. We opened for him just a couple years later with these teachings from our older brother. We actually were offered a contract from them that my parents didn't want to take because we saw some things that made us realize these weren't necessarily the people to work with. But the moral of the story, though, we started early with these teachings from my brother. He turned us into good, capable, working musicians young. When Victor was in elementary school, when he was in literally kindergarten, I was in the 3rd grade. We come home from elementary school and take a nap on Friday because we're going to be playing the nightclub from 10 to 2 in the morning that night. We did this weekend after weekend on Fridays and Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, and that's how we grew up. That's it's out there. The Curtis Mayfield poster. They spelled our name wrong. They spelled it with a D instead of a T. We were like the Wooten brothers.
Oh man, that's classic showbiz.
But yeah, that's how we got started in the music business. So, I'm 62 now. I started when I was 5. That's 57 years ago. Victor doesn't remember not playing.
Right.
Just
a life's work of being in the music industry and performing. That's so cool. So I mean, you guys played together in like the 70s. Did you continue on into the 80s, or what happened with the band?
Yeah, that's how we grew up. All through elementary school, middle school, high school. We lived in we played with Curtis Mayfield in 72.
Okay.
And the other part of the reason we didn't sign that contract because my dad was retiring. And all the family, my dad and my mom's relatives were from living in North Carolina and Virginia. They both grew up in North Carolina. So they wanted to get back. So we knew that we were moving to Virginia in 72. So we weren't going to sign that contract after seeing some unscrupulous things too.
Yeah.
So we moved to Virginia, and we became the big fish in the little pond in Virginia, right? The R&B acts would come in, and we would be the local support. We opened for the Temptations. We opened for some Ramsey Lewis. There's a jazz guy, Dexter Wanzel. We opened for Stephanie Mills. And the Stephanie Mills people liked us.
Okay.
And so we were using Stephanie's management for a while. She was using her brother and her sister-in-law. And playing keyboards for Stephanie was a artist named Kashif. Kashif was a keyboard player then, but he knew he was getting ready to do some production. So he said, I really like the band. You know, if I get a chance to do some production, I want to record you. So he had some hits. He had Evelyn Champagne King, The Way I Feel About You. That's a Kashif production.
Oh, okay.
You know, Melba Moore, Bet you she don't love you. You know, that's Kashif. He had some hits with George Benson. So he wanted to record the brothers. So we signed to his production company, the New Music Group, and we had a record deal on Arista.
Is this in the 80s or is this still in the 70s?
This is the 80s. No, by now it's the 80s. And we go to New York and we sign, and we think that we're getting ready to hit the big time. And we learned in real time that, you know, signing to a record deal doesn't necessarily mean you're about to be rich. We learned the hard way that you need to know more business, or at least as much business as you know music. We were naive enough to think that if we were talented enough, they'd want to take care of us because we could all make money that way. And we signed to the New Music Group, which was, in hindsight, not a smart thing to do, because the New Music Group had the relationship to Arista, not the Wooten brothers.
Oh, okay.
So money would come on our behalf to him, right? So we learned the hard way, but you know, you can only be so upset somewhere there's a contract with my name on it, right?
Right.
So you know, so I was just talking to somebody earlier after I talked to you. Somebody called asking for some advice, and I was like, make sure that you learn about the business before you sign anything. Make sure you learn about what you're getting ready to sign, because when you're really talented and you see somebody that can make you famous, your instinct, we want to be famous, right? We want to make a living off of what we do best. But your urge is to leap at the opportunity. And what I was telling him is just to make sure that monies that are spent on your behalf, you're on the hook for, right? If you sign for a big signing bonus, you're on the hook for that. You're in the hole before you've sung one note.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's limos, makeup people, hair people, I don't need that. But, you know, you're on the hook for it. So just to know that. So I told him, you know, before you sign a 360 deal, go to the internet, learn everything you can about 360 deals, the pros and the cons. And then when you get your deal, take it to a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, and let them look at it. Because I gave them the reminder that TLC had the #1 record, the #1 album in the world, simultaneously signing for bankruptcy, filing for bankruptcy. So we have a tendency to think that that famous is synonymous with rich, that big is synonymous with rich, and it's really not. Somebody's making that money, but it's not always you. So I didn't discourage him too hard because he was pretty excited. I just told him just do your research, know what it is you're getting ready to get into, because I know what it's like to not know, to have high hopes and then have it dashed. What happened with us, so our producer was also an artist. So he had his career to support also. Okay. So we went up, we started recording our record, but then he had to take a break from recording our record because he had to support his. So in his band, he took my brother Roy, aka Future Man, and me. In his band, the other three go back to Virginia. Well, we can't work now as a band, So we go out for the summer supporting his record. And we did some things, you know. We did some things. We got a chance to play some places. We opened for, you know, Frankie Beverly and Mays and Chaka and Gladys Knight and, you know, just the who's who of R&B.
Yeah.
But we weren't making that much money on the road, and as a band, we weren't making anything.
Right.
Because we couldn't gig.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know the business at the time that we signed. So we go back into the studio to record again. He's recording us and he's recording Kenny G. Now, Roy and I are living in the same duplex with Kenny. So we go and record during the day, and he's supposed to record Kenny in the evening, and like he'd get up late or be late, and by the time we start recording, it's time for Kenny to start recording. So either he starts late or doesn't record at all. And we would just lament back and forth with each other. And finally, Kenny, he goes to Arista to complain. And he kind of got chewed up and spit out because at the time, Kenny wasn't selling any records.
Right.
And Kashif was selling all the records. I mean, but Kenny winds up coming. I remember he comes back and goes, man, if it's going to be like this, I'm just going to use some old recordings that I did in Seattle. At least they sound like me. And on his next record, that's what he did. And that was the Songbird thing. Gave birth to a whole, you know, smooth jazz genre, you know, being true to himself. So that was good to see. But what the benefit I did get, being at Arista, was when Kashif produced Whitney's debut single, You Give Good Love. I was there. I watched her sing it. Nobody was in the studio except Whitney, the producer, and me. So I feel privileged for that. Got a chance to see her some and meet her on a few occasions. When he was producing another song on her record called Thinking About You, I was just in the booth listening and harmonizing with. He said, I like that. Go in there and sing it. So yeah, on the song Thinking About You, that's the other voice singing alongside of Whitney. That's me.
Oh, man.
Not in the credits. Didn't make it to the credits. I made zero money off of it. The point that I'm making is, it's an example of how the big time doesn't mean that you're getting paid big time unless you take care of your business.
That's right.
And yeah, and that's the moral to the story. I certainly came back from New York a better musician and a better singer than I went with. Like getting a chance to be in the thick of the real thing made me a better musician. We learned things the hard way. We're still in the music business. All of my brothers are still making music. We're making music together again.
Yeah.
That's good. So, you know, you take your hardship and you turn it into a bonus. If you learn from it, then it's not a loss. Absolutely.
So you learned a lot, not just in business, but you also learned about music. And that's the whole thing, is so many people forget that it's the music business, the music industry, and you got to know both to really.
Yeah, well, no doubt about it. The music business is no fun.
Right.
Like we would rather just play music and do our thing. But you know, the reality is it'll help you if you know some business. Not everybody will take advantage of you, but some will. You know what I mean? I mean, I won't call names.
Sure.
But I've seen some people that signed production deals and got taken care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Generally, it's not a good thing. I mean, generally, there's a lot of liability. I'll put it that way. I won't say it's not a good thing. But when money comes on your behalf to somebody else, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So during this time, you know, in the late 80s, you mentioned you're doing some studio work with Whitney Houston. Were you doing studio work with other artists? And is that what got the attention of Steve's band?
No. Well, at the time, so there was a group, Scritti. Do you remember Scritti Politti?
No, that
Scritti
sounds great though.
Yeah, Scritti Politti they were like the early 80s. They were kind of a techno pop European thing that that had some medium hits in the R&B. Then
Okay.
they wanted me to be their first keyboard player. They got skittish before they went out live.
Oh, okay.
So there was that. I did a bit of work with Kenny G. I'm on his record. Got a chance to sing with Whitney. But when that record deal didn't happen, we went back to Virginia because we had worked in the entertainment department at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. We went back to Virginia, back to working in the theme park, right? Which, could be that could be degrading if you allow it to be. But
I
at
guess
Busch
it's a
Gardens,
mindset thing, right?
well, yeah, back at Busch Gardens, I wound up writing a bunch of songs for all of the people that I worked with. So I wound up writing about 40 different songs. And because I played in a mini orchestra in the Italian show, playing the accordion in a little Italian costume, I wound up having the idea of taking these 40 songs and orchestrating them out and doing a concert at the end of the year. So just for the fun of it, I became an arranger, right? So at Busch Gardens, in this thing that could have been really degrading, right? If you choose to see it that way. I was just, making the most of the moment. And I wound up becoming an arranger, learned about how rehearsals are different when brass players are involved, because they can't sit there and hold a note until you figure out, which note you need to change. I learned all those things in real time. So between New York and coming back from New York, I wound up becoming a better musician. How I got the Steve Miller gig. In 1990, I moved from Virginia to Nashville. It seemed like I had used up all my options in Virginia, and I had come to Nashville to sing on this movie soundtrack that didn't happen, a movie called Mother Dixie. They wanted the title song sung. And I sung it. They liked my voice. And I just liked the area. People were asking me to work. I came in unannounced. There was work that I had to turn down because I had to go back. I was like, I kind of like this place. It's kind of a city built off of music. I love it.
Yeah.
So I went back to my then girlfriend who was picking me up. I was telling her how much I liked Nashville, and she was sitting in the car going, if we're going to move to Nashville, we need a sign, she's saying to herself. And as I get off the Greyhound bus for her to pick me up, beside our Datsun 210 pulls up a U-Haul truck with Nashville, Tennessee on the side. It's the only time I've ever seen Nashville on the side of a U-Haul was that day.
Wow.
So the stars aligned, I moved to Nashville. So as soon as we moved to Nashville, we go, okay, we're going to get married, we're going to have a child. So we get married in November of 1990. 11 months later, we have our first baby. I'm working, but it's not as much money as I'd like it to be. I got plenty of work, not enough money. In 1993, I do a recording session with a songwriter named Chris McCarty. Chris McCarty is a co-writer on the song Swing Town and another song on Steve Miller Band on the Wide River records. I think the song was called Horse and Rider. But anyway.
Yeah, I like that song.
Yeah, so he knew of the opening in the Steve Miller Band. So I'm working with him. He goes, man, you'd be perfect for this. I like your work. You can sing. You'd be perfect for that gig. And I was doing 2 days with him. So, I kind of blew it off a little bit because the big opportunity is always out there. The second day he goes, look, man, you should have sent that audition tape in yesterday. So he gave me Steve's mailing address. And now I'm like, okay, if I have his mailing address, I'd be really negligent not to send something in. Right. So what I did a funky loop of abracadabra. So abracadabra is... I did. I did a funky loop. I put a piano solo on it, an organ solo, a synth solo. And then at the time I was sort of one of the ways I was supporting myself, I would have the sound-alike work. And this is the work that you get, like when you see karaoke tracks.
Yeah.
Or when you go to the fair and they have a studio and you can go. Well, they can't license the real tracks
Right.
for you to sing those songs.
Okay.
So I would get the vocal work to sound like an artist. So I would get all the R&B sound-alikes, all the hip-hop sound-alikes. So I had done a sound-alike for Boyz II Men's a cappella, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. So that Steve would know that I sung harmony, I sent that on my audition tape also, and then I sent in the piece of me singing with Whitney Houston so he would know that I had done it. And I got the gig. He called me on March the 12th, 1993.
93, right.
31 years ago. And then we're coming up on the anniversary of my first gig with him, which was Earth Day, April 22nd.
Oh.
In 93 at the Target Center in Minneapolis.
Oh man, so were you now? Obviously, you've been performing, your whole life at that point. But going out on the road with this new band, for you, was it intimidating? Were you nervous, or how did you feel about going on that first tour?
No, I wasn't nervous because I'd been playing my whole life. I knew that I could play well enough to do it. But you do want to do a good job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like just playing at the club.
Right.
You know what I mean? I knew that there was more required when you're playing for a boss of that stature.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing all your T's. What I remind people is that once he let me know that he liked my playing, it wasn't over yet, right? It wasn't like I like his playing, he's in the band. He had to meet me first.
Yep.
And that's the part that a lot of musicians don't work on enough, even on a work day. If we have a long sound check in a show, maybe that's 3 hours of playing, right? If I play 3 hours on a work day, that's a lot of playing. Yeah. Well, the other 21 is what helps you keep the gig, right? And too many of us just spend right? We spend time practicing on the instrument, not working enough on the person off the instrument. Because there's plenty of keyboard players that play well enough to play the Steve Miller Band gig. Sure. But you want to make sure that once you get your chance, that he doesn't want other people. So I call it being good at the things that don't require talent, like being prepared.
Yes.
Looking the part, being on time, being easy to be around, keeping an eye on who you are when you feel like you're right and he's wrong. That's the one that gets people a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
You think you're wrong, he's wrong, you're right, you have a right to say whatever you want, however you want to say it. But, that's not the case. Only one name is on the front of the check, right?
That's great. Yeah. Well, that's one of those things where I'm pretty sure, I want to say I read something like that when I was reading your book. You have all these great observations. I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But going back to what you were saying with the abracadabra thing, what you did on the audition tape, you've been playing with Steve Miller all these years, but so many of those hits were recorded originally in the 70s and early 80s.
Right.
When you come into this band, and still today, what do you do to take established music, familiar music, and make it your own? You guys do different things. I know you rearrange things and you do extended solos, but what makes a Joseph Wooten version of Fly Like an Eagle or Abracadabra or stuff?
That's always what you're asking yourself. How does the song and your individuality interact? Yes. Because you don't want to reharmonize it so much. Now it's a jazz song. Right. You know what I mean? What I try to keep in mind is that the audience has been listening to these songs for 40 plus years. Yeah. Right. So they want to feel that thing that the song provides, and then I want to use my musicianship to enhance that thing. Because Steve loves to jam. He loves to jam. So when we're in a jam situation, he's allowing me to stretch. Right. So I stretch, but I try to do it in a way that I stretch in a way that will make him look better. Oh, okay. Right? Not stretch in a way that will turn it into something else that the audience, maybe disconnects with. Right. When I play with Steve, everything I do, I keep him in mind. If I play a chord and I I change it a little bit. I'm always thinking, let me make sure that it doesn't take away his note choices to be able to sing over it. Let me make sure that it makes the arrangement better, not just draws attention to me. Oh man, look at what he's doing with the chords of Abracadabra. You know what I mean? That's not it. So that's kind of the sideman mentality. If you're playing with an artist, the artist is always the first priority, right? So like, especially piano, because piano can exist in the same harmonic range as the vocal. So I never get busy. He doesn't like things moving around his vocal. I've learned that over the years. Even he'll bring a recording in that has all this great piano on it, and I'm listening going, he's not going to want all that movement around his voice. It sounds better on the record, but in his ears, he's not going to like it. And most of the time, I'm right, because over the years, I know him better. I sing, I double a lot of his leads, I understand his inflections, I keep my eye on him, because he likes to do things in real time. And that's the gig, right? The gig is making the artist look better, not making the audience take their eyes off of him to look at you.
Right. Well, I think that is just so fascinating, because I think that's why I love coming to see you guys so much, because you don't just play it, a replication of the record. That would get old,
Right.
Every time I've seen you, it's been a little different. And, everyone's got their own parts, and that's so much fun to see.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to know that that we're not, just playing to a track.
Right.
Doing the same thing night after night. I had a friend that played, I won't say what gig it was, but every night they couldn't deviate at all. And the artist that he was playing for was married to the producers of the songs, who knew every nuance. So they had to, every single night they couldn't deviate at all. And it wound up being not very fun for them. For us, it's never the same twice.
No, I know.
Like when we play Rockin' Me, we don't even count it off. He just goes da da da, and on, we just fall in on beat one on whatever tempo he happens to be playing at. It's a load of fun doing it that way.
That's great. One of the things that was different was when the first time I saw you guys was like back in 2008. And one of the things I know you used to do, which was a really fun surprise that night, was when you were on Fly Like an Eagle, it was an extended jam session, and you came out and you did like a rap verse.
Check it out. Here we go. We got to fly like an eagle to the sea, so everyone can be what they've got to be. Let freedom ring so everybody can sing the same song.
Here's the rap. Well, yeah, so that came about when I first joined the Steve Miller Band. I was doing a personal version of Fly Like an Eagle, and it was kind of really, time keeps on slipping, 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 and I done got to fly like an eagle to the sea, so everyone can be what they get. And he liked it. So at the time, he was joining this organization, and at his recital, he wanted that in there because it's kind of a rap that speaks to humanity. So he wanted me to do it. So it stayed in the show. And we did it for a while to mix the reviews, right? Like some people really dug it, and some people were like, rap doesn't belong here, right?
No,
so
screw that.
Yeah, it's okay. The thing about it is, what I like is that Steve has he loves the blues, but he has a wide palette of things that he listens to. He listens to classical music, he listens to pop, he listens to funk, he listens to soul, he listens to reggae. He's a blues historian.
Yeah.
So to play the gig, you would think that it's just going to be this 3-4 chord rock, and you get there having to your palette needs to be wide. He loves jazz too, so if you don't have some jazz sensibilities, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because on some days he feels like playing jazz, and my jazz background winds up helping me.
Well, the line I remember from the rap is the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting madder. And,
the rich get richer and the poor get madder.
Yeah, it's
the story,
that's
the story
as
gets sadder as the
it ever
pockets
was.
get fatter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich get richer and the poor get madder. The story gets sadder when the pockets get fatter and the data keeps coming that we're not getting better. Got to get it right because this is not a double header.
Yeah.
Got to put the fight, living life to the letter. We got to unite, yeah, we got to stick together and weather the storm of evil and corruption in every form. We got to keep our children safe from harm. See, eye to eye, stand arm in arm, yeah. We got to be strong and we got to be fierce if we want to win the battle. Got to be strong, stand tall in the saddle. Got to fly like an eagle to the sea. So everyone to be what they got to be free.
Oh man, you still got it. I hope you bust that out on the stadium tour this year.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Every now and then, he'll mention it. You know what I mean? Yeah, every now and then he'll mention it. But if I can stay comfortably behind the keyboards, I won't complain.
Yeah, there you go. Very cool. Well, one person I wanted to ask you about. I have a couple people. You've played with some great musicians, in that band. And someone I remember from the early times I saw you guys, who's sadly no longer with us, is Norton Buffalo.
Absolutely.
He was with for those who don't know, he was with Steve Miller going way back to the early days. And I have one of his solo albums. I'm
looking over here because somewhere I have a picture of me and Norton on the
Oh, really?
stage. Yeah, I do. It's sitting over there somewhere.
Oh, that's great. Well, I think people who know that he was a really talented guy and obviously a fan favorite. But tell me about how he was one-on-one on a personal level. Tell me about your relationship with him.
Norton was funny.
Yeah?
He was funny. He's this little quirky, super talented guy. He loved practical jokes. There was this thing that he could do that sounded like static on the microphone. So he'd be sitting there, whatever that sound is, and everybody would be looking for that sound. Driving sound guys crazy because they know Steve doesn't have much patience with that.
Yeah.
And then after, doggone it, Norton. He's just sitting there, back then we were using headset mics.
Yeah.
Whatever that sound is.
Oh man.
He's an incredible musician. He was an incredible musician. He played everything, but just a virtuoso on the harmonica. And back then, he used to double most of Steve's leads because Steve likes his lead vocal doubled. Yeah. So when Norton passed away, it was a big blow to the band. Steve at the time didn't know that I could double his leads. I was like, I'll double him. I'll double him. And so now I double Steve's leads and I sing the high harmony like Norton used to do, and a lot of the solos get thrown to me. But Norton is still missed. Yeah. Steve has an acoustic side that he really loves, and he could always toss an acoustic solo to Norton, and they could do that thing. One of my favorite Norton Buffalo memories. And it's a testament to true talent also. We were playing at the Fillmore West in the Bay Area. There was a bad thunderstorm outside and the power went out. So the auxiliary power goes on. The club is almost dark. There's no PA, obviously. So somebody brings Steve a bullhorn. And Steve pulls out an acoustic guitar. The whole house goes dead silent so you could hear the acoustic guitar. And he and Norton probably entertained the crowd for maybe 3 songs. Oh. Just a bullhorn, a harmonica, and an acoustic guitar, which, I went to, I won't say who the artist was, but their automation went down and the show came to a screeching halt until, until they had it back up and running again. Well, with Steve and Norton, because they have basic, real talent, they were able to entertain the audience with a bullhorn, a harmonica, and an acoustic guitar. It was pretty incredible.
Wow, that is great, man. But yeah, you're right. Actual talent didn't have to rely on all the tech. That's cool, man.
It all shut down, and they still entertained the audience.
How fun. Well, thanks for sharing that. I really love that because I'm, a fan of all you guys, and Norton was really cool. I'm glad I got a chance to see him play with you guys. But
yeah, me too. The crazy thing when we played, he passed away not long before we were going to play the Ryman Auditorium, in Nashville. And back then, I was married to my first wife, and she said, "Did you hear? Did you hear? Did you hear?" I was like, "What?" There was a ghost at the Ryman. And really, so everybody was talking about, who that ghost could have been. There was like kind of a flash in the shape of a person in a picture that was taken, pretty popular. And when we saw it, like we knew right away, it was like right where Norton would have been, kind of to the left of Steve, a little forward, looking like, playing with the legs wide, spread wide, hunched over like this. And I just thought that was pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Norton wouldn't there's nothing in the world that would have made him miss playing at the Ryman.
Yeah.
So to us, it certainly looked like it.
Absolutely.
It certainly looked like somebody with legs wide open right in Norton's spot, hunched over doing a Norton thing. And if that wasn't it, it's okay. It was a great coincidence.
There you go. No, I like that. I'm sure it was him. That's awesome. Shortly after he passed, it was an interesting time for you guys in the band because you did the 2 records, Bingo and Let Your Hair Down, kind of back to back. And then a new guy came into the band who I'm hoping you can tell me a little bit about, Sonny Charles.
Yes.
You toured with him for a couple of years. When you look back on that stretch, like 2010, 2012, how did you like working on those records and working with Sonny Charles?
Okay, well, Sonny joined the band because Steve had him sing on a lot of these blues records.
Yeah.
Sonny Charles was big in the 60s.
Yeah.
There was you familiar with the group the Checkmates?
Yes.
So the Checkmates, Sonny had some number ones with the Checkmates. And he had gotten out of the music business. He's in the Las Vegas Hall of Fame. Just a class act and a great singer. So when we start supporting the Let Your Hair Down and the Bingo record, Steve needs that vocal. So he brings Sonny in to sing. And I enjoyed just being around Sonny. He's a class act. He's got stories to tell. He's funny, but he's super talented. He's just a great singer. I have a thing where I say a good singer will show you what they can do on a song, and a great singer will show you what a great song it is with their voice. And Sonny is very good. He's very good at that. I enjoyed my time with Sonny, and he's done some of everything. I mean, the song "If I Could Dream," that by Sonny wrote that.
Oh, okay.
Sonny wrote that. So Elvis used to close the show with the song that Sonny wrote. When Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier at the Thriller in Manila, Sonny Charles sang the national anthem.
Oh,
Sonny Charles, he used to hang with the Rat Pack. He partied with Sarah Vaughan. He was at one time engaged to Lola Falana. Sonny, there's a picture in Vegas because Vegas at one time was very segregated.
Yeah.
Very segregated. And as things started to change, there was the first time that all of the headliners in Vegas were black. So Sonny's in that iconic picture standing in the back, with, Sammy Davis and, and all the rest of them. So he's just a high character person with a lot of experience, a lot of talent, and a lot of humility. I mean, if the average person had half of Sonny's career, they'd be hard to be around, talking about all the things that they've done. And he would just out of nowhere remember something that would be the basis of anybody else's career. I mean, good example.
Well, yeah.
We were on the tour bus. We were on the tour bus one day when he just happened to remember that on the day he was singing in front of the Los Angeles Philharmonic on the day that Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. And they stopped the concert to watch Neil Armstrong walk on the moon, and then he went back to singing in front of the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have a I don't have a story like that. I mean, yeah, Neil Armstrong walking on the moon is enough.
Yeah.
Singing in front of the Los Angeles Philharmonic is enough. But they happened at the same time. They stopped the show to what, and
Oh man.
yeah. So that my time with Sonny Charles, I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot, and I gained a friend. We're still friends.
Oh, that is so good to
I'll
hear.
be seeing him next week.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know what I liked about that tour was not just that he was a great singer. I mean, the man could dance.
Yes.
You know.
And the thing that a lot of people didn't know, he was dancing on a bad knee.
Oh, really?
Now since then he's had a knee replacement.
Okay.
But we come back and he has ice on his knee.
Oh,
You say, Sonny, man, you okay? He said, how did he put it? He said, Charles Hemphill is injured. Sonny Charles is doing just fine.
that's perfect. Well, you would never. I mean, being in the audience, you would never guess he was uncomfortable at all.
Nope.
Just always.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
So let's shift gears a little bit here. I want to talk about your other band. I want to talk about the Wooten Brothers band.
All right.
You guys put it back together and went on a tour last fall. And from what I understand, that was kind of the first time in a while you had been back together. I imagine that must have been really special for you. You're going to Europe and playing some, shows in the United States this year. Tell me what has this meant to you, being able to tour almost full time with them again?
Man, it's been a lot of fun. It's the first time we've been able to play together consistently since, before the record on Arista in '83. Hold on, check it out. Hold on, you'll get a kick out of this. 1983.
Oh,
Can you see that?
that's great.
Look at that.
Are you going to wear the same outfits?
Well, no, I don't think so. No, but it's been fun being able to get back together. The interesting thing is I'm going to tell the story as short as possible. We found a couple of old reels of tape that were the old recording sessions of some music that we hadn't heard since the late 70s. I think I was in the 10th grade. And so we were able to revitalize those tapes. We just re-recorded one of them. So we're going to be releasing old music and new music.
Oh,
So that's cool. We did the first song, Sweat.
yes, I was listening to that. Love it.
Yeah, we did the first song, Sweat, just a bona fide funk tune, Minneapolis style.
Yeah.
Um,
Great music video, by the way.
Just hard work, dedication, and perspiration. You know it's time to sweat.
Thank you. We had fun doing that, and the sweat was real.
Yeah.
But the Wooten Brothers are back together. It's fun. Like our middle brother Rudy passed away in 2010. He used to blow two saxes at the same time. So we were recording this old song called "It's Just So Wonderful," and we recorded it at the same tempo so that we could still use his tracks, blowing two saxes at the same time. So that was really cool. Felt like he was back in the room with us.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's fun traveling with my brothers. There's a connection that you have as family that can't be duplicated anywhere else.
Yeah.
We like each other's company. We like each other's playing. It's just been a lot of fun, and we've been well received. I think the audiences have been, feeling our love for each other and feeling our love for them. So it's been fun. Sadly, I have to miss some of the Wooten Brothers dates.
Right.
For some of these Steve Miller dates, but I'm going to play as many of them as I can.
Do you guys trade off on lead vocals? Because I saw that you were on lead with Sweat. So do you sing some songs lead and Victor sings others? Or
Yeah, well, we're all going to be doing more singing, right?
Oh, cool. Okay.
We're all going to do some singing. Sweat happened to be a thing that I was leading. The first one we did was something that I wrote. So I'm singing that one, but you'll hear everybody's voice.
Oh, wonderful. Are
Yeah,
you
so
hoping to have that album out this year or next year, or what's that?
that's the
looking like?
plan. That's the plan, to have it out this year. In fact, we're going to be in the studio most of next week.
Okay.
Most of next week, trying to get some stuff done, and we just finished another one that needs to be mixed and mastered. You know, we're getting it done. We're
Man,
getting it.
you are recording songs right now, and your big summer tours start like in less than a month. You have got to be one of the most busy men in America right now.
Yeah, well, it's, I'm getting what I worked hard for. I'm getting what I asked for. I'm not complaining. I like to travel. I like meeting the new people. I love playing new music in new places. I love, most everything about it. There's some challenges on some days, but that's with anything. Generally I'm doing what I like to do the most.
Very good. Yeah, and you still find time, because I want to talk about this too. You post these wonderful daily affirmations, I matter, you matter, almost every single day on social media.
Every single day. Yeah.
It's always positive.
I matter, you matter. This is Joseph Wooten, aka the Hands of Soul. I'm here in my brother Victor's studio with my brothers on Easter Sunday. We're making music. Easter Sunday is about resurrection, and what we're doing here, we're resurrecting some old music for you. The best way to spend Easter is with your family, and the best thing to remember is that you have your blood family, but everybody else on this planet is your family too.
It's not hard to find someone being negative on social media or someone complaining, and it's just so nice to see someone every single day putting some positivity out there. And I watch your videos, and that always makes me happy. And I know they're an extension of your book, It All Matters. And I'll post a link for people to get the book in the description. Tell me about this side of yourself. Where does this insight, these sayings, this wisdom, where does this stuff come from, and what makes you want to share it like you do?
Well, my mother and all my aunts and uncles were really wise people.
Yes.
So there were these wisdoms that were just being floated around all the time. So it translated from my mother, down to us. When you hear the Wooten brothers being philosophical, you hear us oftentimes kind of channeling my mom. My dad was wise too, but he was from the older generation. He didn't say a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right? From the generation where, not the I love you generation, do you need money generation.
Right.
Your dad asks you if you need some money, that's affirmation, that's good, right?
Right.
So the wisdoms come pretty much from my mother and from my family. The reason I wrote the book is because I wished that my mother had have done it. Right? So many, like every time you meet somebody else, they'll say, your mom told me, and they have this wisdom that they've hung on to. And my mom had the knack of making everybody think that they were her favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And, I guess for the moment they were. She was that kind of person. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So I had a book that when I was talking to people, if I said something that I thought was worth keeping, I wrote it in this book. And somebody said, man, that's great. You should publish it.
Yeah.
And they said, if you put it into a document, I'll publish it. And that's what wound up happening. So it's not a story. Right. They're just thoughts as they showed up in my life. My wife's favorite is any decision made with testosterone needs a second opinion.
Oh, that is funny. Oh. Well, I pulled one that I really like in the book. You wrote, I am still here. There must be more to do.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. Yep. That's how I feel.
But here's the thing, is that we all recognize the bad things in life. Like we recognize how divided we are, how violent we are, how we recognize the negative things.
Yes.
And the way that we got there was just a little bit at a time. This negativity and this negativity until negativity was established. Well, it's the same thing with positivity, right? The only thing is positivity feels better, right? So there's more potential with it. What winds up happening, as I see it, the reason why evil tends to win in the small picture is because evil is not evil until it acts, right? Evil unacted upon doesn't do anybody any harm. Evil doesn't become evil until it's attached to an action.
Right.
But goodness is good even if it doesn't act. See what I'm saying? So sometimes in the small picture, goodness gets outworked, right? Because a person who meditates and is in nirvana is a good person. They're not causing anybody any harm. But, the time for meditation is not when the house is on fire.
Okay.
And generally we're in a kind of house on fire situation where it's time for goodness to be active. But if goodness is light and evil is darkness, they can't coexist. And light doesn't eradicate darkness with a fist fight. It just comes in and is itself. Right. So we need active goodness. When that happens, then we'll be all right.
Yes.
But right now, too often, evil is outworking goodness because goodness is sitting on his hands hoping for a better day.
Yeah.
And evil is working for its cause. So there it is.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about some goodness that is in action.
Okay.
That is your nonprofit, which is also called I Matter, You Matter. Tell me a little bit about how that got started and what the goals are.
Years ago, I was watching a movie called Freedom Riders, and I was taking the dog out, and I just got really inspired. In comes this song called I Matter. Pick the dog up, go inside, and I grab this envelope sitting right across the room. I wrote it on a manila folder. Ironically, I just got the manila folder back yesterday. And this song wrote itself. All 3 verses, within 30 minutes, I had the whole song, chords and all. It just poured itself in. So at the time, I was doing a lot of speaking in public schools in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
A lot of motivational speaking. And that was sort of the song that I would play. That would sort of bring people together. And I Matter the song became I Matter the video. I Matter the video became I Matter the website, and I Matter the website, I Matter You Matter the website becomes I Matter You Matter the 5013C charity. So we're just furthering the idea of showing people their worth.
Oh, very cool. So if people go to the website, can they contribute to this? And
Yes.
What do you do with that money that comes in?
So
What are the goals?
If you go to imatteryoumatter.com, one of the things that we do a lot is I work with vets.
Oh, yes.
I work with veterans. I've had the fortune of writing songs for 3 different vets. They come in and they tell you their stories. Oftentimes it's combat and some things that cause them some angst. And we get a chance to turn their story into a song. So I just had a vet call me the other day and said that he was struggling. He said he was thinking about harming himself when it dawned on him to go listen to his song.
Oh.
And he put his song on, and he said, it made him feel good and kept him here because he was thinking about, going ahead and ending it. So he called me just to thank me and let me know. So that's one of the things we do. It is. It's what amazes me. Like, we were at this friend of ours who puts on this exclusive weaponry show. It's like all of the top anti-terrorism weaponry. Before they do the SHOT show in Vegas, he has his own private, and it's nobody has name tags on, and it's all of our allies that come to see, there's grenade launchers and new rifles, and, here's the guy with the longest kill shot in history, and here's the guy that used to be a dentist and they use him, when they need him. And what amazes me is, to me, I just feel like a keyboard player from Nashville, right? I'm just like the one that belongs there the least, right? I'm not a gun owner, but here I am, right?
Yeah.
And you just keep getting thanked over and over again because music gets them off the ledge.
Yeah.
So they thank you. I keep getting thanked over and over again for what I do. And you have to be humble. You have to say you're welcome, but I don't feel like who wouldn't want to live my life, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who wouldn't want the tour bus and the applause and people telling you that you're better than you are constantly? You know what I mean? I do what I do. It makes money and applause, and I get applause. I do it for the other reasons too, but the average person, that's what attracts you to it.
Yeah.
But a soldier does what they do for a much more important reason, for no applause.
Right.
Right? For zero applause. That guy with the longest kill shot, or whoever it was that got Bin Laden off the planet, or whoever it was that allow us to have this conversation right now without fear of anything.
Yeah.
Do it in anonymity. No applause for not enough money.
Well, I mean,
right?
sometimes, I mean, for bad after effects, you know, that you
yeah.
come back from a war and it's so, you know, so.
Yeah. So I had another vet that I met when we played in Boston, and for whatever reason, he loved everything I did.
Yeah.
So when my brothers and I were signing autographs after, there he was. I called him my one-man fan club. And he said that his friend convinced him to come out because he doesn't like being in crowds.
Okay.
You know, because he can't see everybody's hands. You know, he's been in combat.
Right.
So he goes. So I said, well, listen. I said, here's my number. If you're ever struggling, call me. Like you have, call me. So he called me one morning, and he called me to let me know that he was struggling, but he had checked himself into the VA and he was going to be okay. And then I hadn't heard from him for a while, and I knew that his wife had left him. He wasn't divorced, but she had left him, and I knew he was struggling. I couldn't reach him, and he called me, said, you know, I just needed some time. I'm doing okay. So we stay in touch that way, but it amazes me the high regard that veterans have for musicians because the music gets them off the ledge. So that's one of the things we do with I Matter, You Matter. We also give scholarships. We talk to young people. I do a good deal of motivational speaking with young people. I love talking to young people because especially like high school, college age students are altruistic, but not certain what it is that they're solving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love talking to them and inspiring them. I got a chance to do that. Victor had a music camp just last week and had some students from Ann Arbor, Michigan Community High School. Great musicians.
I saw it on your post. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a chance to talk to them, and it's just so inspiring seeing the light bulb go off in their head, and they leave feeling like they have a mission to make things better. That's how we fix things. Like people are looking for a leader. Where's the next Martin Luther King, or where's the next, you know, Kennedy, or where's the next whomever it is, Gandhi, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the work is done down here. Like when we look at the division, it's no one person. Like people will blame it on the media. I'm like, the media is not in this room.
Yeah. Like
the argument's happening here. There's no media in here making us argue. We either argue or fix it based on us.
Yeah.
Not based on them. And truthfully, the media is just feeding us ourselves.
Right.
They're just feeding us back to us because they know we like it. The tough part about making things better is getting people to agree on the starting point of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if you even just the news stations, you can't get this news station to agree on the basic facts of this news station.
Yep.
Therefore, it's hard to do it that way. Because
Yep.
we don't agree on the basic stuff. But music is a starting point for everybody.
Yeah.
We all like music. So there's teaching that can be done there because we can all start there.
Yes.
Right? We want to turn this into this.
Yes.
And we want to turn that mess out there into some peace.
Yes.
Right? That everybody can understand that. Now we can work on the ways to do it. Goodness needs your belief. Like the boogeyman, he'll make you jump out of the window, but that's your own energy.
Yeah.
Right? He needs your belief. So does goodness, though. And because we believe in evil, we believe in the power of evil, we hope for the power of goodness. When we believe in it, we'll work for it. And music is a great tool.
Well said. And we're getting some of that flavor that you post every single day on social media. It's in your book. I hope people who've enjoyed this will get that book. Joseph, I can't thank you enough for your stories and your music, but mostly just for how fun this conversation has been. It has been an absolute treat to meet you today. I hope when the Wooten Brothers album comes out, you and Victor or whoever will come back and visit, because I really want to hear it.
Yeah, well, listen, you have my number now. We're connected. We'll stay in touch. This won't be the last conversation.
Absolutely.
Because truthfully, like what we're doing right here is the solution. It doesn't really seem like it, but it's the opposite of division. It's the opposite of division. So in the same way that incrementally we become more and more divided, right now, incrementally we're moving in the right direction. We're talking about music. We're not fighting. We're creating. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. Thanks so again for your time. I'll get this posted up next week just in time, for the tours. And dude, have a great summer. I bet you're gonna have a blast. I hope that all goes.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. I appreciate it. Joe K, well, okay.
Oh. All right, I matter and you matter. I love it.
I appreciate it, man.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, Joseph, you take care of yourself, and we'll talk again.
You also.
Hey, thanks for listening. There's no shortage of great content out there, so you choosing to spend some time listening to this show means quite a lot. If you're so inclined, please give this podcast a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. And share our links wherever you can. Or mention this show to anyone you know looking for a podcast recommendation. All of this helps us out a great deal, and I appreciate it. You can connect with us on social media too. We are at Play That Podcast on Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and even TikTok. Or we are at Play That Rock and Roll on YouTube and Instagram. Please post a comment and say hello. Finally, Play That Rock and Roll is a proud member of the Pantheon podcast community. So if you're looking for more music podcasts beyond this one, trust me, start with Pantheon. You won't be disappointed. Otherwise, I appreciate any and all efforts you take to support us here at Play That Rock and Roll. Be sure to join us next time for more great music and stories from the world of classic rock.